Three, two, one. Hey everybody, welcome to Saturday night at Mike's Garage. Hello everybody, good to be here. I got a new microphone set up, got the band in place, play a little drum roll now and then. Going to have a good time. A lot to chat about. Thanks for joining Mike's Garage. And it's Saturday night, beautiful day here in Pittsburgh. So it's still about 68 degrees out. It was about 74 today. Very nice. Winter is on the way. We know that, but it's always nice to get a good day, get the yard work done and things like that. But it's a little chilly here in the garage, but we got a jacket on. And I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to do this live from the garage. Probably have to get down in the studio. But we're working it out. Well, listen, I wanted to tell you, I'm very happy with the number of subscribers. I got 41 new subscribers in the last 28 days. So I'm very happy with that. Right now we're at, 781, right? Yep, 781, still moving towards 1,000. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And, we could always use more subscribers. So let's kick it up. We're going to keep doing, some videos during the week, put up some shorts, put up some regular videos. And I really do enjoy doing this live Saturday night. Try to pick up some more viewers, get some more questions coming in, get some comments coming in. So it's always good. Hear from, Ryan Harris, TJ. TJ, you haven't really chimed in on Saturday night. I guess you're busy Saturday night out partying or something. But go ahead and click in, watch the show. If not, catch it when it's posted. So we're always looking forward to that. But very happy, 781. Like I said, 41 new subscribers in the last 28 days. Thank you very much. Let's hit it. Got it. Okay. Listen, I bought gas again. It's still holding steady here at $3.99. I don't know what it is in your area, but it's not going down anymore. Looks like it's going to start going up here pretty soon. So we'll see what happens with that. They're starting to move the flooded cars out of the dealerships in Florida. And the ones that are in the used car lots are all being distributed throughout the United States. So keep an eye out for them. They're trying to clean them up. A lot of them being sold as reconstructed or rebuilt. Some of them are actually being honest and saying they're flood cars. So, if you could put up with everything slowly fading and slowly failing to work because the salt water will eat up the electronics. The engine and transmission should be good. Usually you just have to flush them out, put fresh oil in them, fresh transmission fluid. They should be fine. The electronics will corrode. The salt gets in there. Not too much you can do about it. So just be careful if you're looking for a used car and it's coming from an area that Florida, Texas, Alabama, any of those places that had floods recently. Just have to keep an eye out for that. So be careful. Just do a little research before that. Speaking of cars, I got an offer. I got a car. I'm going to go pick it up next Saturday. So hopefully I'll be here to show you the car or maybe do a couple videos during the week about it. It's a 2006 Mercedes 320 CDI, which is the diesel. Now, it's a 6-cylinder diesel turbo. It's an inline straight 6. Has about 220 horsepower with almost 500 pounds of torque. It's a very fast car. They tell me anyway. I haven't driven it yet. But it's a diesel, has a six-speed transmission, and has a lot of torque. It's like a 6-second machine. If you look at some of the cars, it's faster than a lot of the cars from 0 to 60. It only takes right about 6 seconds. So looking forward to having that. I haven't had a toy like that, a car to drive now. The thing is, why I'm excited about getting it, it gets 30 miles to the gallon around town. I know diesel's about $1.50 more than regular gas, which is ridiculous, okay? But I'm really looking forward to getting it. It's the, like I said, it's the E320 CDI. It's loaded, has the sunroof, moonroof, whatever you want to call it, power everything. For 2006, it was loaded. Now, I know they made a lot of improvements in that and has quite a few miles on it. I'm really not sure how many. But those diesels and the transmissions are supposed to run for about 500,000 miles. I don't know if I'll be able to get 500,000 miles on the car, but it's supposed to be in pretty good shape. So I'm going to take a ride out there. It's in the central part of Pennsylvania, so have to go out and pick it up, drive it home. It's supposedly inspected with good tires and everything, and it's a very reasonable price. So I'm looking forward to getting that. And I would do quite a few videos about it too. How to check it out, how to maintain it. I think the oil change is every 10,000 miles. And the transmission, you're supposed to change the oil in the transmission about every 150,000 miles. The Mercedes dealer actually tells you you don't have to change the oil, or you don't have to change the transmission fluid. But it's always good to try to keep some kind of fresh oil in there, okay? So we'll see how it goes. Electric windows, electric seats. I'm assuming everything works. Good radio, good heater because the winter's coming. Got to have heat, and looking forward to that. I think he said it was black, and it has the really good moonroof where you can crack it open, you can slide it back, you can tilt it, and it has a blackout panel. Because I don't know if you ever had a moonroof. Sometimes I find them annoying, especially in the evening, where you're driving down and the street lights go overhead, and the street light flashes the brightness in the car as you go under the street light, as you go down. I mean, it's bad enough it's on the hood, but when you're in an area where you have street lights overhead, that's the way it comes in like that. I've had that problems with convertibles too. I really didn't like having the convertible top down at night because of all the lights that come in from all the different angles. So we'll see how it works. I'm excited about getting it. Like I said, this Saturday I'm going to drive out to, I think it's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and try to pick up the car and get it back here to Pittsburgh, back on the western end of the state. See if we can get something going with that. So I'm excited about that. It's supposed to have good tires on it too. I know we talked about electric cars before, and that's one of the things. I asked how heavy it was. Mercedes, they usually weight their cars down so they ride a little better. I know like the Rolls-Royce and the Bentleys, they'll add weight to the car. The Bentley was made originally so light that it was so front heavy because they put a big V8 or a V12 in the front, and the back had no weight. So they actually added weight to the back of the car to try and balance it out, because having all the weight in the front makes the handling kind of impossible because the back end will always slide around on you. So a lot of the manufacturers, when you get a car like that, where it has a big V8 and a big heavy transmission up front, they do have to add some kind of weight to the back. How exactly they do that, I don't know. But they do that to, like I said, it improves the handling, it improves the suspension, the ride, and everything like that. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited about getting it and telling you all about it. What else is going on? I mentioned last time about people coming across the border. They're still having a big problem with the opioids and everything like that. I know we talked about Vietnam and marijuana, and it looks like that's going to get more and more legalized. Marijuana, some guys were occasional users. They would use it after work. There was a few crazy stoners where they had to be stoned all the time, and I didn't like that. So we'll see how that works out. I hear they even reached an agreement with, I think you guys in Florida, is it Circle K? Circle K in Florida, is that the convenience store? They're going to start selling weed in this convenience stores down in Florida because it's legal for public use. You don't need to get that medical card. So we'll see how that goes. Let me get a little sip of my ginger ale here. It's hard to do a lot of talking. Your mouth gets dry, you know what I'm saying? So, the drugs that are coming across the border, and I don't know how they're all getting in here, but the fentanyl is just terrible. I mean, if you're a user out there, just be careful. I mean, it's bad stuff. People are mixing it in. They say it's coming from a couple of different countries. China's one of them who's manufacturing it. They're shipping it into Mexico, and the cartel's taking it and getting it across the border. That's maybe true, maybe not. I don't know, but it's very deadly. A lot of people. I think one of the symptoms is it just shuts down your breathing system. You just stop breathing. If you get too high on it, just shuts it off. You get so high you can't move, and then you just can't breathe. So just be careful if you're one of those users. What else are we going to talk about? People crossing the border. Downtown Pittsburgh, going through downtown, people sleeping on the sidewalk, people peeing in the middle of the street. It's unbelievable. I mean, I know we don't have a big problem like they do in Philadelphia, New York, L.A., Oakland, Seattle. Some of those places are just overwhelmed with homeless people. Now, if you're illegal and you come across the border, you get processed, you get medical attention, you get a ride somewhere where they have room for you to take care of you, get you vaccinated, I guess, give you a place to live, give you a green card so you can work, give you a food card so you can go get something to eat. They just don't want to throw more people on the street now. They're doing that to people that are here illegally, and I even said myself, if I was living in South America and my family was struggling, it was hard to find something to do to support my family, I would be crossing the border to get into the United States. So I can't blame these people for trying to make a better life for themselves or their families. And you would do the same thing, honestly. If you had a chance to go to a better country to make a better life for you and your family, you would do it, okay? Especially if you hear they're going to let you in, they're going to give you a court date, they're going to release you, and they're going to give you a place to live, they're going to give you a bus ride somewhere. Hopefully you'll be welcome there. Some people are getting rides to New York and Connecticut, and they're not, in Chicago, and they're not welcome there, and they're sanctuary cities. So something screwed up with that too. So you get a ride somewhere, you get a place to live. A lot of these church groups are stepping up and make sure these people are taken care of. And then you go downtown and here's American citizens sleeping on the sidewalk. They got nowhere to go. They're begging for food. And I tell you what, they're getting aggressive with the panhandling. They're not only asking for money anymore, they're telling you, give me some money. I need $20. Give me $20. And if you don't, they get in your face. It gets ugly real quick. And nobody does anything about it. So, oh well. The other thing they're having an issue here with is the teenagers. Teenagers are running wild. You get caught with a gun, you get caught shoplifting, you get caught with something else, they go to court, they write you up, they put an ankle bracelet on you, and they send you home. The kids are cutting the ankle bracelet off, and they're back on the street. Nobody's doing anything about it. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It's just really sad with that. Okay, enough of that. We'll talk about Ukraine. It's a kind of a depressing show so far, huh? Well, Ukraine, well, you know what? I got another story for you. This goes way back. Teenagers. I think I was maybe 15 or 16. Now, I got two younger brothers. We all slept in the same room, okay? 6 kids, 3 bedrooms, mom and dad, 3 sisters in the other room, 3 brothers. Me and my 2 brothers were in the smaller of the bedrooms. My youngest brother had a breathing thing going on. He had some kind of allergies. And the doctor said we had to have a vaporizer. So my parents went out and bought a big glass, looked like a fish bowl. And there was a plastic, I guess it was called Bakelite back then, plastic, the early versions of plastic. And this heating element went inside the bowl. Now, where the little nozzle was that the steam came out was a little tin cup. Seriously, a tin cup. And you're supposed to fill that with Vicks, Vapor Rub. So you filled that little cup with Vicks, you put it down so the steam blew across the top of it. And as soon as we got in bed, my mom or dad would plug it in, and it would fill the room with steam that smelled like Vicks. So, and help my brother breathe. He didn't wheeze all night long. And we never had a cold because that thing ran every night. Every night that thing was running steam. and Vicks. That's all I could smell for years. But anyway, one night, I had to be like 2 o'clock in the morning. My brothers wake me up. The thing is on fire. I mean, there's blue flames coming out of the top of this thing. The electronics in the electric steam element is shorting out. It didn't blow the fuse. It's just filled the room with thick black smoke. So they woke me up and they said, Mike, the vaporizer's on fire. The vaporizer's on fire. So I had to go around the bottom of their bed to get to the other side where the vaporizer was. So as I went around the bottom of the bed, I opened the window, and there wasn't a screen. Okay, so I opened the window. It was a winter time. I opened the window, went around, unplugged the vaporizer, picked up the bowl and everything. Now this thing is smoking everywhere. Now when I pulled out the plug, it stopped creating all the smoke, but it still stunk really bad. Went over to the window and threw it into the backyard. The room was still full of smoke. Now the door to the room is closed to the hallway because we always slept with the door closed. Okay, so the door is closed. The room's full of smoke. Now the smoke is pouring out. The cold air is coming in from outside because the window's open. It's wintertime. There's snow on the ground. And we went back to sleep. Is everybody okay? Yeah. Anything else burning? No. By then, if you laid in the bed, you were out of the smoke, but the top of the room was still full of smoke. We went back to sleep. Okay? So the deal was in the morning, my father was the first one up. He would go in the bathroom. You only got like 2 minutes in the bathroom because there was so many people, one bathroom. So he goes in the bathroom, then he comes in and he wakes up the guys. He's, okay, guys, your turn. So he comes in the room. It's really cold because we got the window open, you know. He said, what the hell's going on? Why do you have the window open? What are you doing? Look, the heat's been running all night long. You guys are crazy. And my one brother sits up and he says, we had to open the window. Why? The vaporizer was on fire. And my father looks and there's no vaporizer there. And he says, where's the vaporizer? He said, Mike got it and threw it out the window. So my father goes over to the window and looks out in the backyard, and there's the vaporizer down in the snow. And back in the day, there was no smoke alarms, no fire alarms, nothing. You didn't have any of that stuff, okay? So if my brothers wouldn't have woken up with the sizzling and popping and hissing of this vaporizer smoking and cooking, we would have been gone because the door was shut. The room was already full of black smoke when they woke up choking, and that's the story. So we were lucky. We escaped disaster. So we never put the vaporizer back in the room. My father went to the drugstore with the thing that was on fire, and the guy at the drugstore says, well, what do you want me to do about it? I didn't make it. Okay, fair enough. So nothing you could do. You couldn't sue anybody. Back then, you didn't know if everybody was having a problem with that kind of vaporizer failing, catching on fire, shorting out, blowing fuses. You had no idea because it had to be the 1960s, early 1960s that this happened. And you just didn't have that kind of stuff. You didn't have a network. You didn't have a Better Business Bureau. You didn't have any way to file a complaint with the manufacturer. They didn't have a website, and it was pretty funny. So that's what we did. The other thing, I did this to one of my grandchildren the other day. I was, all right, I'm going to ask you some questions. What do you think of when I say yellow pages? What do you mean? Just yellow pages. What does that mean to you? They're just pages that are colored yellow. Okay. What is a rotary dial? What do you mean? A rotary dial, what does that mean? I have no idea. Okay. What is a Rolodex? These kids are 12 and 13 years old. What is a Rolodex? I don't know. Is it something you sit on and it rolls around? Is it a desk that rolls around? No. Okay. What is a collect call? I don't know. Think about it. Those of you who remember those things, those words have dropped out of our vocabulary. I mean, they're still in the dictionary, but nobody uses them anymore. There's no such thing as a rotary dial. A Rolodex is gone unless you're in an old office building and the guy is in his 60s and he still has a Rolodex because he doesn't want to transfer everything to his phone. And that's the way it was. Even public telephones. Now, I spent a lot of time working with public telephones at Verizon. And, well, first it was Bella, Pennsylvania. Ready? Then it was Bell Atlantic. Then it was Verizon. So that's the way that went. Slowly evolved and changed and became bigger and bigger to the conglomerate it is today. And so there was hundreds of thousands of public telephones in Pennsylvania, Delaware, West Virginia, Maryland. They were just everywhere. You had a booth, you had a walk-up. They were indoors, they were outdoors, there were drive-ups, there were walk-ups. The airport had hundreds of them, hundreds of public telephones in the airport. Today, I don't think there's any in the airports at all. So if next time you're in the airport, see if you can find one. You can't. They don't have them anymore. Those things have just gone away. Okay. Same thing with the rotary dials and dropping the dime, and that's where the expression came from. You're going to drop a dime on your friend. That's because you could drop a dime in the phone, and the old phones had 3 slots on the top that had a nickel, a dime, and a quarter. I think the dime was in the middle, wasn't it? Somebody help me out. So, hey, bad weather. Bad weather's there. The microphone sounds good. That's good. Hey, girls. Thanks for joining in. Free girls in your city. I'm glad you're watching. I don't know where that's coming from. But thanks for tuning in. And what was I talking about? We're talking about the rotary dial, nickel, dimes, and quarters. Well, that's where the saying came from, drop a dime, if you ever heard that. You used to put a dime in the phone, and you could dial the operator, and they would connect you with the police. And then you would tell the police, hey, so-and-so is the bad guy you're looking for, or they're planning a robbery or whatever. You drop the dime to tell somebody that they were planning on doing something bad, or they already did something bad and you want to turn them in. So that's where the saying came from, drop a dime. You know what? There's something else I wanted to tell you too. The term buck. How much is that? $9. Well, the buck stops here. The term buck, that means $1. Okay? So that originated here in Pittsburgh. At the 3 rivers, where the Monongahela, the Allegheny, and the Ohio joined down there used to be a trading post. And that's where all the people that were out here living in the woods, a lot of them were trappers. There was a big demand for animal skins. That's what they made the clothes out of. That's what they made the straps out of. That's what they made shoes out of. That's what they made your belts. Deer skin and all that was very valuable. Same thing with all the other skins they used to make fur coats out of. So the trappers used to bring all of their skins to the trading post, and the trading post would trade it for guns, ammo, food, cash, whatever you wanted to trade with that. So you used to go in and you say you wanted to buy a 20-pound bag of flour, and you wanted a bag of sugar, and you needed a bag of salt. Okay? How much? Well, since they were trading skins, they used to say 3 buckskins, or 3 buckskins, or 9 animal skins, raccoon skins, whatever. But the term buck came from that. So if you wanted to get food or you wanted to buy a gun, how much for that? $3. That would meant 3 buck skins. And that's how the term came about. It was actually in the trading post, and the term was meant to how many buck skins you had to turn in to get what you wanted. So that was the currency that they had here in Pittsburgh way back in the day when the Indians were here and the trappers were here, and it was still the wild, wild west, if you wanted to call it that. And that's where that term came from. I don't know. I guess that's interesting to everybody. So, hey, Pete, how you doing? Give me a question, Pete. Let me hear what you have to say. So, let's talk about the other thing I was talking about the other day was the news and how you get the news when you're in the military. Now, I spent a year. I was drafted. Late 1968, I got my draft notice. Was in basic training first thing in 1969. Get out of basic training, went to Fort Benning, Georgia. I don't even know if they call it Fort Benning anymore. So spent about a year in Fort Benning, got orders to go to Vietnam. Now, in Fort Benning, you could listen to the local radio stations and get the news and find out what's going on. And, you could hear about the protests. You could hear about all this other stuff. And I'll tell you a quick story. I think I did this before, but I'll tell it again. Now, getting drafted. So, got my draft notice, had to get down to the draft board. Went to 401 North Broad is where you went for your physical to get into the military. So we get down to 401 North Broad, and you walk in the front door, and you're there for the day. So you had to be there like 8 o'clock in the morning. So they process you through. They give you a physical. Now, you take off all your clothes except for your underwear. You put that in a bag, and you carry that with you. Your shoes and everything. You're barefoot. All you get on is your underwear. You go through the thing. They give you a physical. They check everything. Check off he's healthy. Okay. You get dressed. Go back in another room, and they give you a test. They test for this kind of skill, that kind of skill. What can you do? This, that, and the other thing. Now, we were motorheads when I was a kid. I think I had my first car when I was 14. Changing tires and making mini bikes and making go-karts and things like that. My dad was always very helpful to help you, to show you how to do that, how to hook up a throttle and make your own go-kart, make your own mini bike. There was a guy down the street, an old guy, he knew how to weld. We would cut a bike apart and take it down to him. He would weld it all up, and we would drill holes in the metal plate, and then we could mount a motor on it from a lawnmower. And we didn't have a clutch. You had a back tire with teeth on it for a gear for chain. On the motor, you had a gear that the chain would fit on, and you put the chain on. Now, what you used to do is you had to push it, and it would start running, and you hit the throttle, and off you would go. If you wanted to stop, you had to shut off the motor. We put a kill switch up by your thumb. You kill the motor, and it would slow down, and you had to drag your feet. That's how you stopped. I did have an English bike tire on the front that you had a squeeze brake, and it had the little pads that was on the front, but that didn't work too good. Not when you're going 30 miles an hour on a mini bike. But anyway, and the other thing is I wore out a brand new pair of Converse, Chuck Taylors, in 1 week. There was holes in the bottom. They looked brand new on the top. Was nothing left on the bottom from dragging them, trying to stop the mini bike. We even rode in the 4th of July parade. I guess we were about 14 years old. But anyway, cars, you could get a used car for a couple $100. Worked at a gas station for a while before I got drafted. So when I went in, I got 100 on the test for mechanical ability. And I sit down with the recruiter, And he says, hey, you can do cars, you can do this, you can do that. I said, yeah, I can do brakes, exhaust, fixed tires, fixed steering knuckles, ball joints, tie rod ends. I know how to do all that. So he tries to tell you if you sign up for 3 years, yeah, right. If you sign up for 3 years, I'll make sure that you go to the best school and you can pick where you're going to go, where you're going to be stationed. And I says, no, I'm really not interested in staying any longer than I have to. So he says, okay, well, you're just going to have to take the luck of the draw then, I guess. So I thought that was pretty cruel when he tells you that. But anyway, so off we go. Go off to basic training. And after basic training, 6 weeks, crawling under barbed wire and running every day, 5 miles a day. I get my orders, and then I was a mechanic. So right out of basic training, they made me a mechanic, and that's how I wound up at Fort Benning, Georgia, in the engineers. So that's the whole thing. But let me go backwards. Now, we're leaving for the draft, okay? So we had to go to Media, to a restaurant in Media, and we had to be there 6 o'clock in the morning. So my dad took me, and there was a couple hundred kids there, okay, kids. Me and everybody else was my age, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old. We all drafted. Parents were there with us. The VFW was there. They were giving out, shaving kits and those kind of things for you, and shaking your hand and telling you good luck. We're proud of you for going. And half the kids there didn't even want to go. So neither did I, but we were going. So they says, okay, it's time to go. We're ready to go. And here's what we're going to do. And a sergeant comes in, military guy. He says, all right, listen up. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to keep your head down. You're going to follow the guy in front of you. We're going outside. We're going to get right on the buses. There's no talking. We're just going to move quickly. We're going to get on the buses, and we want 2 lines. So we had to line up in 2 lines, and it was about 40 people in each line. He says, okay, you guys are going on the first bus. You guys are going on the second bus. Now, when I open the doors, we're going to move out. Ready? Here we go. They open the doors, and there is a high school band across the street in the parking lot, and they are playing as loud as they can. On each end of the street, there's barricades, and there are protesters on the other side of the barricades, and they're shouting with their signs, don't go, you don't have to go. Some of them are running up to the bus, and the police are grabbing them and pulling them away, and they're banging on the bus. Don't go, get off the bus right now. And the band is playing louder and louder and louder. And the military guy that's on the bus, he's telling you, don't look out the window, everybody look down. Everybody look down. And the buses left, the police pushed the protesters out of the way, and that's how we wound up down at 401 North Broad to get drafted. The buses went through the protesters. I don't think we ran anybody over. I mean, it wasn't that bad back then. But they made them get out of the way, and that's how we left on school buses to get down to 401 North Broad, with silence, dead silence on there. But anyway, that was so long ago, those things just stick in your mind. It's so vivid what happened to you. So that's something we did. Pete, give me a comment. Pete, what do you want to talk about? He's on here. I don't know if you can see that, the comments online. Bad Weather's giving me some comments there. I appreciate your feedback there, Bad Weather. I hear you. So anyway, we left there. Long story, went to 401 North Broad, did the whole physical thing, got on a train. We took a train from Philadelphia to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That's where we did the basic training. We actually had a sleeper car, and you got to sleep on the train. Now, the bunks were 6 foot on a sleeper car. On the sleeper car, now I'm a little over 6 foot, so I couldn't fit into bed. My feet had to hang off. My feet were touching the bottom. My head was touching the top. So that's all you could do, try to get by there. But anyway, the question came up, and the reason I'm rambling on here was, how did you get the news when you were in Vietnam? Because there was so many protests going on back in the States about against the war, and we weren't hearing any of that, and it was just pretty funny. Hey, here's my producer, ladies and gentlemen, my producer. What do you have there?
5 questions.
5 questions.
New way to end the show.
You want to read them to me?
Well, yeah, but you read them. Go from 5 to 1, 5, answer it, 4, answer it, go all the way down.
Okay, we're gonna try this, and I'm looking for 5 questions coming in each week, and here we go. What is your favorite car that you have ever driven? Okay, and
You can take your time and think, and
yeah.
you might have a few options you got to narrow down.
Well, I tell you the car I had the most fun in. Can I answer 2 different ways?
Yeah.
Okay. The car I had the most fun in was a 1962 Ford Galaxie 500 convertible. That was a great car. It was huge inside. It had a 390 Interceptor motor in it. It was pretty fast. And we just had so much fun with that. That's when I was 16, 17, 18 years old. And like I said, that was in the late 60s, 65, 66. It was a 62. It was only a couple $100. Back then, cars only went about 80,000 miles before they were considered worn out or had too many miles on them. But anyway, that's the car I had the most fun with. The car that was the most fun to drive was a 1967 Impala. It had a 425 horsepower 396 in it, 4-speed, positive traction, had leather interior, it was all decked out. I mean, it was the top of the line Chevy Impala, but it had the biggest motor and the biggest transmission, the best rear, and it was quick. I mean, we were beating Corvettes in that car, we were beating GTOs, we were beating everybody in that car. That was a fast car. So they're my 2 favorite cars. One was fun, and the other one was quick, and it was a sleeper too because it didn't look like a fast car, but it was very fast. Okay, the number 4 question. What is the best dessert? Ice cream. Yeah, but there's a lot of good desserts. Cake, pies. I love cherry pie. Cherry pie with ice cream. They call it a la mode. That's one of my favorite desserts right there. Any kind of ice cream, sorbets, gelatos, they're all really good. If I get a chance to go out and get ice cream, count me in. That's fun for me. Okay, number 3, question number 3. Which movie do you always stop and watch when you see it on television? You know what? There's so many, okay? I'll still stop and watch The Wizard of Oz, believe it or not. I like the movie The Rear Window, if you've ever seen that. Jimmy Stewart, and that's a cool movie. Look it up and watch that. That's really a cool movie. I like The Terminator. I thought The Terminator was a good movie. And the most recent one that I'll stop and watch it, or watch pieces of it here and there, is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I like that one. Brad Pitt is in that. I think he won an Oscar for supporting actor on that. And Leonardo DiCaprio was one of the stars in that. And it was a lot of fun. It's a fun movie to watch. So I know it says which one is which movie to always stop and watch, and I gave you 4 because they're 4 of my favorites that I'll stop and watch if they're on. And I think it was just on recently, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It had, what was that crazy guy, the Manson family? Charles Manson, and it was a different take on what happened, but was a cool movie anyway. I really like that. Question number 2. Which holiday is the best and why? I know Christmas is always fun. Thanksgiving is always fun. The family always gets together. But I always was looking forward to Memorial Day. And Memorial Day was it wasn't a big deal, okay? But what used to happen on Memorial Day? There's a little town in New Jersey called Sea Isle City. And back in the 60s, the town was sparsely populated. Okay, it just came alive in the summer. In the wintertime, only people that lived there were the fishermen. That's the only ones. And in the summer, the town would come alive. There'd be all kinds of people there. And down, I think it was like 40th Street in Sea City, there was a big, huge old seashore house, and it was a fraternity house. Now, what used to happen at the fraternity house? They used to have parties here and there, but the best parties were Memorial Day and Labor Day. So Memorial Day, they would have a party. There would be kegs. The drinking age in New Jersey at the time was 18. We were like 15, 16 years old. We could get beer. And we'd be down there drinking beer and listening to the band. They always had a live band. And they always had a parade. Now, during the parade, they would have a guy, I think it was a guy dressed up like a girl, that they were pregnant. Okay? So the parade would come down, and when the parade reached the fraternity house, the woman or the mother of this child would go into labor, and Summer was born. So a guy would come out with a bonnet on and a diaper, and he would be out there, and everybody would cheer that Summer was born. And you can figure it out. In Labor Day, the same guy would show up. I don't know if it was the same guy, but he had on a long white robe, long gray hair, long gray beard, walking with a cane. Summer was over. Summer was done, and that was the sad part. But the best part was the party on Memorial Day at the beginning of the summer in Sea City, New Jersey. Still remember that in my mind, how great that was. So that was it. Okay. Question number 1 on my question of 5. Which major historical event would you want to go back and see? Let me see. What would they go back and see? I guess you go as far back as you want, even as before my time. Okay. I'd like to see who really built the pyramids. I think that'd be cool to be standing there, or maybe I wouldn't want to be one of the slaves trying to build it, but I'd like to be, a fly on the wall watching what really happened and how those things got built. There's so many speculations about how they moved those 100-ton stones. It's unbelievable. The other thing that somebody wrote once, and we were in high school, and it was a question about major historical events, that somebody said that they would want to be standing on the side of the river in Philadelphia when the first sailboat came up the river, the Delaware River, and discovered Philadelphia. They landed, set an anchor, they came ashore. That's history right there. That they said it was so beautiful. The water was crystal clear. There was plenty of fish jumping out of the water around the boat, and it was just a beautiful scene to have them come. If you went to Philadelphia today, you wouldn't believe it. But yeah, coming into the mouth of the Delaware Bay and coming up the Delaware River up to Philadelphia had to be beautiful. I mean, I think that would have been just cool to either be on the boat and sailing up the river and seeing that and say, this is where we're going to land. This is where we're going to make our home. So I just thought that would be cool. But anyway, I'm glad the microphone is working out. Seems like it's not pegging the meter here, so got all the things going on here. I got my thing where I can see the comments. And let me close out by saying I appreciate everybody out there who's giving me comments. The regulars, Ryan Harris, TJ, I enjoy hearing from you guys a whole lot. Give me some questions. Let's see what you want to talk about. I really want to stay away from talking about depressing things. The war has me very upset. I really do think we're going to get sucked into that somehow. I hope not. I pray we don't get sucked into that. and just want to think on some good things here. And you know what? I'll close by saying you got to vote. I don't care who you vote for. Get registered. You got to vote to make sure we get the right people in office to do what you want them to do. So vote your conscience on that. Okay. So just want to say thank you for watching Mike's Garage. Could always use more subscribers. Like I say, we're at 781, 41 subscribers in 28 days. That's pretty good. There's always room for improvement. So let's try and do more with that. So thanks, everybody. Be safe out there. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching Mike's Garage from Saturday Night Live. Bye, everybody.